Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Sunday Night Football. The New York Football Jets head to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Kickoff is at 8:20 p.m. Right now, the over/under is an abysmal 38.5 points, but we shall see. A lot to talk about in this game, but before I do all that and the over/unders, some player projections, some recent betting trends, and the final score, make sure you get to the website at fantasy6pack.net. When you get there, hit the Discord. Everything, for the most part, the Discord is free, but there are some premium channels. The DFS channel is one of them. The sports betting stuff, that is all to be had at a premium price, but we're already 7 weeks into the NFL season, and we've done a pretty dang good job here at Six Pack, giving you rankings, projections, DFS stuff. I give away free parlays and these videos are all free to use at your own peril. Like, on last Sunday or Monday night, Cortland Sutton didn't have a single target or a catch. I mean, how nuts is that? It doesn't make sense. But let's get back to this football game. Sunday Night Football, the Jets head to Pittsburgh to battle the Steelers. Kickoff is at 8:20 p.m. And since the last time we got together, the Jets fired their head coach. That probably already happened, but he's out living his life, being filmed at the grocery store. I don't know if this is true, but he said, I don't care. I'm making $20,000 a day to not be the Jets head coach. In the meantime, the Jets have added Davante Adams, and he comes over from the Raiders, and boom, full practice, probably going to play today. Fingers crossed, because I have some solid projections for him. But he had a miracle cure on the flight when he got to the facility. I don't know. And then, the Steelers are saying, you know what, Justin? We're good. You've been fantastic to start the season, 6 games in. We're going to go with Danger Russ Wilson, or however the heck they're calling him now. And I don't know. It doesn't make sense, because I look at Russell's projection, 19 to 20 completions, 200 yards, if that, maybe a touchdown pass with 3 or 4 carries for 20 yards. And again, Justin Fields can do all that with a little bit more pizzazz, let's say, with the running game, on the ground, moving the chains with his legs, maybe finding the end zone as well. I mean, I don't see a case where, Russell Wilson will start the game and then Justin Fields finishes it, or do I? Let's get into this whole sucker right here. Let's start with Aaron Rodgers. Right now in Pittsburgh, 4th overall against opposing quarterbacks. I mean, both defenses have been actually pretty good, right? But Aaron Rodgers, 23 to 24 completions. I have him around 260 passing yards and 2 touchdown passes. As I said, Pittsburgh's 4th overall against opposing quarterbacks. He's going to be pressured heavily in this one. TJ Watt probably get a sack, maybe 2 in this one. But there are a few things I want to point out about A-Rod. Some are good, some are bad. Right now, Rodgers, his touchdown to interception ratio is 7-7, which is strange. There's been seasons where Rodgers hasn't thrown more than 2 or 3 interceptions, but hey, he's turned over a new leaf in his old age, I should say. And then when you look at him, he's got 2 touchdown passes in 4 of the last 5 games, and he's got 23 completions or more in 4 straight games. So we're looking at 23 to 24 completions. I think he gets 23 or more again, which would be his 5th straight game with doing that. When you look at Russell Wilson, I gave you his projections already, around 200 passing yards and a touchdown pass. His first start as a Pittsburgh Steeler in Pittsburgh, what is the home crowd going to do? Because the Steelers have, very passionate fans. I would put them up there with the Dallas Cowboys, just not so, whacked out and delusional about the outlook of their team. Shade at the Cowboys and a little bit hooray for the Steelers. So we shall see. What does Russ Wilson do in his first start as a Pittsburgh Steeler? When we look at the running backs here, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen. I have a whole thing that I'm going to wait for till I get to Allen Lazard, or as I always do, I jump the gun. Let's just talk about it now. With the addition of Davante Adams, who's going to suffer? The targets are... some readily available targets are going to go to Davante Adams, 8 or 9 tonight. So who's going to suffer? Is it Allen Lazard? Is it Braylon Allen? Tyler Conklin? I think, Braylon Allen, the rookie running back, his role was kind of, diminishing just a little bit to begin with. I think he takes a complete back seat. if he was already kind of not riding the pine, but he was the RB2 behind Breece Hall. And I think Braylon Allen gets a lot less targets and touches, as a running back, given the fact that Davante Adams is here. To be fair, I think Allen Lazard he flourishes even more with the addition of Davante Adams. You got that Green Bay Packers trio going on, and Lazard is but we haven't expected much of Lazard to begin with, and he's really shined in that role. Now, to opposing defenses, they got to worry about Garrett Wilson, Davante Adams, Breece Hall, and Aaron Rodgers. That same, Star Wars connection, mind reading, however it is, with Allen Lazard can carry on without anybody, losing any sleep over it. But as I was saying, Breece Hall looking at 15 to 16 carries, 60 yards, looking at 4 to 5 receptions for another 35 yards, so just shy of 100 all-purpose yards. But get this, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're only allowing 3.6 yards a carry to running backs. And if you look, as it stands now, Breece Hall, he's averaging 3.7 yards a carry. But last week, he really went nuts. He had a breakout, right, with the yards and everything. But he also broke through, averaging 4.4 yards a carry. And so we shall see. Averaging 3.7, Pittsburgh only allows 3.6. It's a game of inches and fractions. When we look at Pittsburgh's running backs, Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, when you look at Harris, he's just a volume play. I could put it on repeat, volume. But Najee Harris had two carries last week of 20 or more yards. We saw that explosiveness we all fell in love with when he was drafted to Pittsburgh. If I'm not mistaken, he laid out like Superman, touched the pylon. But when you look at the Jets, they're 10th overall against opposing running backs. But Najee, 16 to 17 carries, 65 to 70 yards, and a reception or two for another 15 yards. Not much doing with Jaylen Warren, but in a single game slate, he's very much in play. Only $8,000 on FanDuel, $4,000 on DK. 6 to 7 carries, 30 to 35 yards, plus 2 to 3 receptions for another 20 yards. So receptions are Jaylen Warren's, sweet spot. That's what we'd like to see. So Najee, volume, and then you work in Jaylen Warren with some receptions, and that might be a formidable 1-2 punch. When we look at the wide receivers, this is where all the action is, right? Garrett Wilson is finally there, has a buddy with him when he's lining up to be a wide receiver. Garrett Wilson, Davante Adams. I spoke about Allen Lazard briefly. Mike Williams, crazy, no chance, not in my lineups, no ill will. I wish the guy the best. I just, there's nothing there for him anymore. And folks, you said, is with Adams coming, is this going to hurt Garrett Wilson? Absolutely not. We've seen the trajectory of Garrett Wilson finally with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and I think that only continues. To be fair, the addition of Davante Adams can only help what Garrett Wilson has going on, so I see no real issue there. Pittsburgh, though, 10th overall against opposing wide receivers, 9 to 10 targets, 6 to 7 receptions, 75 to 80 yards. I do think he catches another touchdown pass. Get this, though, the Jets, they're throwing the ball, they're only 7.1 yards an attempt are what they doing, and you're looking at Garrett Wilson, 33 total targets between weeks 5 and 6 combined. He had 100+ yards in both of them. That's a tough hill to climb. Davante Adams, the new addition here for the New York Jets, $13,000 on FanDuel, $10,000 on DK, 8 to 9 targets, 6 to 7 receptions, around 70 yards. Adams is going to get his as the season progresses. I still think this is Garrett Wilson's team as a wide receiver and on offense. Can only help further Wilson's cause. And Allen Lazard in a way. As I said, Lazard, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 30 yards. As we move down the list, Pickens, Calvin Austin III, Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller. You know what? I mean, Russell Wilson in his heyday was able to support numerous options. Those days are over. And you look at Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, no thank you there. George Pickens, the Jets are 4th overall against opposing wide receivers. Sauce Gardner, more than likely going to be on Pickens, 8-9 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, around 65 yards. Pickens, he's averaging 14 yards a reception, but he's got 3 or fewer catches in half of Pittsburgh's games. So he's been the poster boy for boom or bust. I think it's another bust kind of night for George Pickens against a really good and really talented Jets secondary. When we go to the tight ends, Tyler Conklin is questionable. What's Jeremy Ruckert? Jeremy Ruckert will be in play if Tyler Conklin is not active. Right now, Pittsburgh 21st overall against opposing tight ends. Conklin 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 30 yards. But the Jets over their last, actually the last two games, so week 5 and week 6, the Jets have allowed 21 receptions and 193 yards to tight ends over the last 2 weeks. So if Conklin is active and rolling, he should absolutely be something here tonight. $8,000 on FanDuel, 4-4 on DK. When we look at the Steelers tight ends, it's all about Pat Freiermuth, but you know what? The Jets have only allowed 1 touchdown to tight ends all year. Not much going on, and you got Russell Wilson back. I don't like that combo, especially just he's a Pat Freiermuth has always been kind of like that punt play at tight end, and I'm just not willing to do it tonight given how well the Jets have been against tight ends. When we look at the DSTs, the Jets or the Steelers, which way are we going to go? Obviously, the smart move would be to take the Jets, defense, 3 to 4 sacks, an interception, maybe 2 interceptions. We shall see. In the Steelers, a sack or 2, probably both by TJ Watt, an interception and a fumble recovery. But I have Pittsburgh to win the game, so it's strange. I prefer the Jets DST, but I think Pittsburgh wins the game. The kickers, both are in play, but I would highly suggest Chris Boswell. The Jets 25th overall against kickers. The only green DVP matchup I can find on this slate given the two teams. Recent betting trends, the Jets 1-2 on the road this year. Pittsburgh 1-1 at home this year. The Jets are allowing 24 points a game on the road. They're on the road, but I think Pittsburgh wins this one, and Pittsburgh averages around 18.5 points a game at home. I think Pittsburgh wins 21-17 in a highly contested game, which should be fun and exciting for everybody. As I said, kickoff is at 8:20 p.m. And ultimately, I think Justin Fields is the starter at some point to finish the season. The Russell Wilson experiment could, flop. Could it start as early as tonight? We shall see. Pittsburgh wins, though, and winning cures a lot of stuff. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to win 21-17. Be good, be safe, and I'll see you again tomorrow for Monday Night Football. Later.